Welcome to our video on how to be a study pro. This video has been made to assist you in your preparation for your up and coming exams. The objectives of this week at school is going to be to review and refine your study and revision techniques, for you to develop a study and revision plan, and from that plan to develop a study and revision timetable. So how do you study? What are your study techniques? What do you do at the moment in terms of preparing for exams or tests? There is a quiz or a little highlight your response, how do I study section in your booklet. But this is a moment to think about, what do you do for study? Because if you're someone that just sits and reads over your notes or reads a textbook or flicks through a PowerPoint, you're going to need to adjust some of these skills, because your brain actually needs to process that information by actually doing something, creating something, whether it be a mind map, another set of notes, an information poster, but your brain has to process that information you read and put it into a simplified form for you to actually learn that information. So I know many of you will sit there saying, no, the way I revise is by reading my notes. Take this now from people who have worked in this area for a long time. That will not work. We actually need to look at how you study. You need to do something with that information that your eyes take in, because just taking it in like that literally goes in and out your brain very, very quickly. Okay. All right. So we'll look at the activities in the booklet at a later date, but there is an activity where you can have a look at how you currently study to identify ways that you can improve, and we can all improve. It's a great opportunity to see an area for improvement. All right, for you guys as our Year 10 science students, you have a range of resources that are available for you for your revision. Okay, you've got your class notes, Jacaranda, you've got textbook and there's Jacaranda quizzes, you've got booklets, you've got the PowerPoints and videos that are linked to this unit. We've got Education Perfect, there's Schoology with a whole range of resources on it. But also in terms of your general study, you have all the Elevate resources that you saw in the Elevate presentation. All right, so what are your steps to success? So in terms of study, what steps are there to ensure you are studying to your full potential? First of all, you need to find out what you need to know. So what concepts are going to be covered in your up and coming exam or test? You need to find out the dates of your exams and tests so that you can develop an effective revision timetable around that. You need to then identify what your strengths and weaknesses are. So you found out what you need to know. Now from that, you're going to need to identify what things you need to revise a lot more and what things you don't need to focus on quite so much because you actually understand them already. You need to find revision techniques that work for you, and these might vary between different subject areas, but remember, just reading over notes without doing anything with that reading will not work. You need to find actual techniques, which we'll look into further in the booklet. When you revise, you've got to revise in short blocks of time, around 20 minutes, and make sure you get a little break before then changing to something a bit different. And that's that varying activities. We'll look at each of these further. Check things off as you go. Checklists are fantastic when you're revising because it shows you where you're at and what you need to do further. And then you've got to, once you've done revision, you need to practice exam questions, mark them, give yourself some feedback. And anything you find tricky, you've got to get advice from your teacher. Okay, so looking a bit more at these. Step one, finding out what you need to know. Now for you guys in our Year 10 science course, you've got the study skills booklet. That's actually got a list of all the objectives of the different units we've done. In the front of each of your booklets, it's there, and you've got your exam notification. If you're VCE students or IB students who happen to be watching this, you will also have like your study guides, study designs, which tell you what you need to know for each unit. Okay, step 2, find out the exam date. So you'll get your exam notification in each subject area, but you'll also get information about your entire exam block, okay? So make sure you know those dates. You shouldn't get to the night before an exam and suddenly be like, oh no, I've got science tomorrow. You need to be prepared and organised in advance. All right, step 3, identifying your strengths and weaknesses. Now, for the Year 10 students, on page 6 to 10 of your study skills booklet, there's a revision checklist. Now, the idea with this checklist, and any checklist for any student watching this, write out a list of all the things you need to know for that exam. Then the next thing is to do like a traffic light system. Get some highlighters or colouring pencils, or make some little symbols. Give yourself a 3-point scale. So 1, things that you really get. So that could be like green. Okay. Your middle point, so it could be amber, things you kind of get but could just do with a little bit more revision. And then your red, or your 3rd point there, would be those things that you really don't get, that you really need to revise more of, and maybe seek your teacher's assistance. Okay, now if you break down all the things that are going to be in the exam and do this, that will give you then a good plan of the things that you really need to revise. Okay, step 4. Find revision techniques that work for you. Now, for our Year 10 students, page 4 of the study booklet has got a list of revision techniques. Now, there's many things. You can use flashcards, mind maps, you can make posters, you can do various note-taking. But what you must do is you must take in information, allow your brain to process it, and then output that information in a simplified form. So you must have those steps for your brain. That's why I keep saying that just reading notes does not embed your knowledge. Okay, you must take in the information through reading, or even watching. If you're watching YouTube clips or something, take in the information, process it, and then in a reduced form, take notes on it. And it's really important that the notes you take are by hand, because there is different brain functions, okay? And if you're writing things down by hand, you actually embed that further in your brain rather than typing. So it's really important that the simplified notes are done by hand. Okay, revising short blocks, okay? About 20 minutes would be your concentration span. You will know your concentration span better than I. Okay, so I'm saying about 20 minutes for students of your kind of ages, Year 10 up to Year 12. You may need shorter time. I wouldn't be pushing it much longer than 20 minutes, okay, because your brain will fatigue, okay? After your 20 minutes time of revision, okay, you then need a break. Go and get a glass of water, go outside, get some fresh air, nice 10-minute break before you start your next set of revision. Now, varying your activities. So don't sit down for a whole day of revision where you're just reading books and taking notes, okay? You really need to vary what you do. So some reading notes, some watching YouTube, some practice questions, really varying your revision routine so that you're using different areas of your brain as such, okay? So you've got to keep your brain active. If you just get stuck into one kind of routine, even though you might say to me, but that's how I revise best, again, take it from people who have done lots of study in this area and know that varying activities actually helps your brain embed your knowledge more effectively. Checklists, okay? Check things off as you go. You've got the list of objectives or topics that are going to be covered in your exam. Check off as you've revised them, okay? You may come back to them, so you might have a checklist where you have revision, practice questions, flashcards or something like that, and you check off what you've done for each section. But checklists are really good. They help you to see where you're up to, and it's a really good mental strategy for feeling like you're organised and on top of your revision. Okay, and then you need to do your practice questions. So these come after you've done a series of revision. If it was an area that you marked green in your initial list of finding out what you need to know, you might go straight to exam questions, but you're not going to go straight to exam questions on an area that you feel that you're still finding quite challenging, because you are probably not going to get those questions right, and then you're going to feel quite deflated. So the exam practice comes after your revision, and then you need to mark your responses and give yourself feedback. You need to say how you could have improved on that question, what things you did right, what things you did wrong. You need to give yourself feedback, otherwise practice exam questions are a waste of time. Now, for those areas that you've identified as being areas you find a bit trickier, okay, you've done your revision, you've done some practice questions and you're still not getting it, it's really important that you contact your teacher for more support. That is exactly why we are here. Okay, so for our Year 10 students, things that you now need to do. Okay, there's a list of activities here that can be found in your study skills booklet, and these will all need to be completed by the end of this week. Okay, so a range of different activities to really get you thinking about your study skills. Most important thing, if you are nice and prepared for your exams, then you will do as well as you can. Okay, so use this time effectively, get prepared, and be confident in your exam. We only ask you to do the best that you can. Good luck.